Happy Sunday, everyone. It's Rhonda here from Nelson Soapery. Today, let's get into a chat as we always do on Sunday. For any of you that are wondering about my gorgeous little apron, my beautiful 29-year-old daughter, Abby, actually made this for me. She knows I'm absolutely obsessed with anything from the 40s, 50s, retro and vintage. So, of course, she made me this gorgeous little apron and I absolutely love it. It's so cute and it is kind of long at the bottom. And hopefully this will protect my clothes because at the moment I'm just wearing the same old t-shirt so that I don't keep ruining more and more clothes with oils and spills. But anyway, let's get into our video today. And our video today is all about colorants. I get asked so many times, you know, what colorants can we use? Can we use a natural alternative? Should we use blocks? Should we use liquids? What? So anyway, today, let's break it down, and I'll break it down into some candles and of course some soap and bath bombs and products that what we can use. So let's get started without further ado, and I'll explain a few things. So in the front of me here, I'm going to pour a few different things to show you. So we'll first start with candles. So candles, there are a few different ones you can have. Of course, your little liquid form here. I'll do a demo of that one in a moment. And look how tiny the little bottle is, but this bottle would last for ages. You don't need more than one drop. I mean, honestly, you don't. It's really concentrated. Then you also have your little chips. So these are the chips, and they come in the little bags like this. And one little chip, which if you can see how tiny that little chip is, it's like the end of your finger. And that chip would probably do for about 2 kilos. And it would depend on, you know, how strong you want it or how light you want it. But when doing candles, you do need to take into account the stronger the color, the more likely you are to have frosting, which is that horrible white kind of scaly look on top of candles that nobody loves. So that's something that I will actually sort of suggest, that don't do it too bold unless you put additives and things like that to sustain that. I don't use any additives. And all of mine are made with 100% soy, and 100% soy does unfortunately have the tendency to be a little bit tricky, a little bit naughty and play bad when it comes to frosting. But you know, with testing you figure it out as you go along. But so that's for that bit. And then of course we do have the blocks. So I buy lots of these blocks. So this is what they look like in here. It's basically a wax block. You can't put too much of this. If you do, you'll clog up a wick, especially if you're using engineered wood wicks, which most of you guys know that I actually do use. So, you know, you're just only going to be scraping off 2 or 3 scrapes with a potato peeler. That's literally all I do with this. So yeah, don't use too much if you're going to be using this. And when it says, you know, for instance, forest green, you do need to add a bit to make it forest green. And what you see at the top, you know, when you first start, is not going to be what you get at the end. Because do remember, once, of course, it dries and it cures, it's going to be lighter. And something that I never knew when I was first making candles is the colorants that you put in do not last forever. So if you've got somebody that buys it, never lights it and leaves it for 2 years, it will get really light to almost a creamy color. So that's one thing I've noticed. But lately I've also been testing another thing for candles, which is a powder. And this one I know does come from the UK, and the company that sent me some to try is Sud Off in Australia. And they have actually been importing these, and that's going to be a part of the new range. They've got a few colors on, but they will be bringing in some blacks and some yellows and greens and so on. And so I'm super excited to try them because honestly, that has worked the best. For all the candles I've done some trials on it and it's so strong. I mean, honestly, you only need to dip the end of like a toothpick into the powder and that is enough to do a candle. So super strong. So this is what it looks like. It will come in bags like this, and this one here is kind of the purple one. Like I said, they sent me this as a sample, so which I've just been sort of testing for them and letting them know how it's working, the burn and everything. And then I did actually burn one of the candles that I made for a testing, and it burned beautifully, no issues whatsoever. So I'm really in love with this. So I do think depending how all my testing keeps going, but I do think I'll probably change to the powder once I've used these. But as you can see, I have a bucket full of these different colors, and if you don't use colors, it's okay, it doesn't matter. But for me, I actually do like to do colors on mine, because a lot of people do buy them from me for being colorful, and they really do like that bit. So anyway, like I said, that's a little bit about the colorants for candles. And do make sure you're stirring them for a while. Don't stir them for 1 minute. If you don't keep stirring it till it's totally dissolved, then you'll just get bits of green or red or whatever color it is float to the top. So it's really important that you do. And when you actually add it, you'll be adding it at the hottest temperature. That's usually when you add any dyes or waxes. So don't add them when it's super low. If you're like me and use like 100% soy from Pure Candle Supplies, and then you're going to pour that at around 48 degrees, remember Celsius, not Fahrenheit. But if you're going to pour it at that, you wouldn't be adding your wax in then, because it's too cold. You need to add it in around the 70 degrees. Of course, like I said, that's Celsius. So Fahrenheit, just look that one up. There's lots of converters, guys, if you need to convert anything. I've had a few people ask to convert things, and sometimes I do, but doing, you know, obviously YouTube, and then I have my own website and making things and so on. I don't have a lot of time to convert things, but sometimes I really do try and help you guys out and convert it. But honestly, there's so many conversions. Just Google it and you'll be able to, you know, convert anything down. I generally use grams because I'm in Australia, and that's what we do. But for now, like I said, I am going to do a demo. So in here, I do have just a little bit of water, so you can see the water here. And then I'm going to open up this, which this is the drops I was talking about. They're kind of like gooey almost. It's like, you know, this sounds terrible to say, but it's like thick blood is what it reminds me of. It's not light. So we've got this in here. We're going to add only 1 drop. So we'll just let this 1 drop fall off the end here, and you'll be able to see how super duper amazingly strong this is. And can you see that, how strong that is? And that is literally 1 drop. So if you can see there, so strong, like amazingly strong. So yes, you don't need much at all. And you can also use these drops, which I have used in my diffusers. So if you're going to do it in the diffuser, I say dip the end of like a toothpick or, you know, a skewer stick or something just in the end of that, and then just do that. Try to have less than 1 drop, because 1 drop was too strong for me when I added this into the base of my diffuser oils. So yeah, so anyway, that was my suggestion on that. So we've talked about candles, so now let's get into soap. Soap is one of those things. You can use food, you can use spices, you know, obviously colorants, micas, pigments. There is just so many. But one thing, if I can tell you one thing in particular that I have noticed with soap, when you use pigments can stain things, they can get messy. So try not to use pigments. Try to use something that is actually tested for soap. So all my micas, generally I get them from Sud off in Australia because I just like their micas. I don't get paid to say that. That's just from my testing what I actually like. And before they've sent me samples like that, I used to, you know, I would always buy them. So 99% of my things, I buy them and pay for them. So I don't just get free samples or anything. This was just so lovely of them to give me that. But just to get that little disclaimer out there, but their micas are a cosmetic grade, and that's what I actually like. I like promoting that on my products as well. And I've noticed that their micas, I can literally just put a spoon of that straight into my soap mixture and it mixes in. But if I get ones that aren't cosmetic grade, they don't mix in the same as, where's my little fluoro? So, you know, if you're using fluoros like this particular one here, I get this from N Essentials, and it's an amazing color, but you do need to mix this in with your oil first. So take a little bit of your main source of oil that you're using in your mixture, and just mix this with like a tablespoon of oil, because honestly, this will just leave streaks if it's not mixed in super well first. So don't just pop fluoro straight into the mixture. You do need to mix. And you'll notice also that when you're using things like micas, if you don't blend them as well, not just mix, but actually blend with your stick blender, the colors will be different. So do sort of think about that as well. Another thing that I thought that I would show you and talk about as well for soap is obviously, like we've already talked about the micas, but you can use things like this. This is a beetroot powder. And you know what? I thought, oh, look how beautiful this color is. It's red, it's gorgeous. It doesn't turn out red, it goes brown. And I didn't know that when I bought it because I thought, oh, that is super, super cool. It costs like $10 from a health food store. But anyway, that will make it go brown. You can use it, but obviously it's not going to be that gorgeous ruby red that we sort of relate back to beetroot powder. But you know, you can do like baby foods, like pureed carrots and things like that. There's so many. Spinach is another one, and they will change it. You can also use turmeric in it as well, and spices as well in your products. Another thing that you can use as well would be clays. So this is a French clay, and it's got this gorgeous kind of greeny color, and that will actually make things different as well. So I bought a few to show you. This is the pink French clay. Even though it doesn't look pink in here, it will go a beautiful, just kind of a blush pink, like more natural. As well, and then because I've got a few sitting here to show you, and then of course the red clay as well. So you can see that these, just the clays, are different colors, and they can give a more muted, nice look. And of course, don't forget the micas that we were talking about before, and these micas are from Sudoff, and they can look absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. You can pop these into your soap. You can use them for whip soap, body butters. There's so many things. Bath bombs as well. Make sure that they are okay for bath bombs. Some micas may say cannot be used in bath bombs, so please do check that out. And that is another reason why I use cosmetic grade, because they tested and fine for bath bombs. So to the side here, I've got a couple things that I've made, like some scrubs and things, and these have micas in them, and you can see it's just a nice, beautiful, light kind of yellowy color. But, you know, and then this one here is a body butter in pink. So there is so many different ones that you can use. But when you're doing things like body butter and whip soap, I suggest you add the smallest amount, because nobody wants to rub body butter on themselves and have bright red arms or green or blue. So, yeah, I suggest that you don't add a lot of that. The same as not adding glitters and things like that to your body butters, because nobody wants to have glitter all over them unless they're going to a nightclub. So I know it looks pretty for selling the product, but you will get people that will complain and say, oh, you know, I got stuck with glitter for hours. So that's something as well that, you know, just think about all of those things. But, you know, if you're doing things like that, often clays are a really nice thing, because they kind of will stop it being super oily as well, because they absorb a bit of the oil, as well as giving that tiny bit of color. So that's a little bit about the micas. And I've written down here a couple other things, and I'm sorry I'm looking down, but that you can use. So you can actually infuse things into oil as well. So you can use some paprika, coconut, you know, sorry, not coconut, cocoa powder. So, you know, you like your chocolate kind of powders. Beetroot, as we've already established. Coffee. So you just make the coffee in the boiled water, and then you can use that as your water content as well. You know, you can use your clays, like I said, the pink clays, red clays, French clays. You can use indigo powder as well, madder root powder, that is another thing as well. I mean, there's just so many. There is so many things. So have a look into that, and you can infuse things into your oils and have a bit of a play. Just make a tiny, you know, real little batch. You know, the smallest batch you can make of 1 or 2 bars maybe for yourself, and then see what you're thinking as well. So now when we're talking about bath bombs, that is a whole different story. The one thing that is really important to remember is literally someone is sitting in their whole body, their naked body is sitting inside a bath full of these products. So if you use, you know, alcohols and, you know, strong powders and whatever, they are literally boiling in that. So it's really important to try and use really good products for bath bombs. I really believe in using great products in bath bombs. I actually don't use alcohol in my bath bombs unless I'm painting the top. That's the only thing, because I just wouldn't want to sit in alcohol myself. So I use an oil base, but it is purely individual what you want to use. And for those, you can use micas. Generally I do use micas. It's not going to color the water, it will give it the lightest color, but it will make your bath bomb look colorful, beautiful, and all of that. So like ones like this one here that you can see that have that like pinky kind of tinge in them, that pink on it, that is actually a mica, and then that will be like a milky kind of colored bath bomb. And but whereas this one here, this bright colored one, this is a dye, so I've made that with the dye. So it just depends on, you know, what you want for your bath. But if somebody wanted a gray or black bath, this one will send the bath black. The one thing about using dyes, so this is actually a dye that I've used. So it's like, you know, you get your dye and then of course you mix it. Let me see if I've got a sample here. Oh yeah, I have for you guys. So this is how I get mine from Sud Off. I buy it as well. And you just put the tiniest thing, like 1/4 teaspoon at the very most, with 1 teaspoon of water, of hot water I use. Mix them up and then you put it into your mixture. But don't add your citric acid because that will activate it. And then all you do is, you know, mix it all up. And when everything's done, then of course make your bath bombs, and then they will come to whatever color you want. And this kind of concretey look is black. It's really hard to get a full black one unless you use a lot. And when you're using any micas, dyes, anything, please use polysorbate 80, and that will disperse oils and things in the bath so that they don't have the massive ring around the bath and you get complaints. You definitely cannot use pigments in bath bombs because they stick to the bath and they can make an absolute mess. So I always say don't use pigments. It's best to stay away from that or you'll get complaints. But yeah, so, and like I said, you can use your dyes and things like that, and then you will get this look as well. The one thing I'm noticing is more and more people are asking, please have you got something that doesn't dye the water? So a lot of people are just not really wanting that at the moment. It's something I've noticed, but it depends on your market. Some people may love it. Myself, I don't mind if it's like a light pink or something, but I don't know that if I would want a black one. That's just something that makes me think of that. But any bath bomb you make, whether it's mica or whether it's dye, if it's sitting in the sun, the color will change from a beautiful blue to a really light blue, or, you know, gray like this. It might go a very light gray. So over time, things do change. And I'll show you one I've got here. Let me just grab this one. So this is one that I've made like a cloud, and this cloud is in this hot pink kind of color, and it does have like a colorful embed in the middle of it, and of course colorful there. And now this one here is done with a dye from Sud Off, but once again, if this was in the sun, it's in a dark area of this room so it doesn't discolor, but if it was in the sun or sitting there or they didn't use it, the color would sort of fade away. So that is really important. When you're doing dyed ones, you really want to sell them pretty much within 2 months. You don't want them sitting on the shelf. So yeah, my bath bombs pretty much do stay hard. Every now and then there'll be like a powdery kind of residue if they're sitting for months, but generally they're hard for a long time, whether they're wrapped or whether they're unwrapped. I just wrap them because of COVID. In the future, I would love not to wrap them. I would love them literally just to be able to sit on the shelf, you know, in a naked form without any plastics or anything. But unfortunately, we're in COVID time, so we do need to do that. So anyway, hopefully I have given you some ideas for colorants, for candles, bath bombs. Like I said, you know, whipped soaps, you know, your body butters. There's just so much. You can use all these, but just make sure you use them sparingly because people don't want to have colors all over them or staining something. You would need to put a disclaimer or a warning on them. I actually do put a warning now on the back of my bath bombs to say may discolor things. And especially if somebody opens up this and they take the plastic off, their hands are all over the black, their hands will get the black on them because it is a dye. I mean, that is natural. So you do need to actually warn people of that or create like a, you know, sort of a useful card that you would put into your packaging. But anyway, hopefully guys, this has helped you today explain about all these colors and how you can use colorants, and don't be scared of it. Just respect the colors, and do remember it is going on somebody's skin or somebody's body or somebody's bath. So, you know, less is more when we're talking about those things. But for now, I will leave you guys until we have another video. Hopefully I'll bring one out on Wednesday, because I am in the hospital this week with my dad at the start of the week on Monday and Wednesday again. So, but I promise I will get them out again soon as I possibly can. And the next video, I am hoping to make some soap. I'm still waiting on some new ingredients coming in, and then we will make some beautiful, beautiful soap. Probably I'm going to do a few botanical soaps in a high-rise, which lots of you that see my other video might have seen these kind of ones that I did, which is my own kind of high soap, and I will talk about how I get it high without having to buy a high-rised actual mold. So anyway, but like I said, until next time, I will say goodbye, and make sure you guys join all my new social medias, especially Instagram, that I've been doing lots of lives on at the moment, and you might catch me on there talking, and you can see exactly what I'm up to. Be safe, everyone. See you next time. Bye for now.